regular board meeting is held in the West Mifflin Borough Building, Council Chambers, 1020 Lebanon Road, West Mifflin, PA. Meeting begins at 7 p.m. Opening exercises, pledge to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Esper, roll call.
Ahern.
Here.
DeCenzo.
Here.
Donahoe.
Here.
Englert.
Here.
Mattis.
Here.
Squires.
Here.
Uhas.
Here.
Kostelnik.
Here.
Blazevich.
Here. 2 presentations, Dr. Solomon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our first presentation this evening is by Premier Power, an update given by Nikki Vigna and Matt Zanka.
Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Good.
Is this working okay?
Yep.
So I just wanted to come back, and I know we talked last summer, and we were a little bit nervous about whether or not we should have gone ahead and signed a future electric contract. And so we just have fantastic news, and I wanted to just present market update to you, just so you can see, the impact of your decision, of what it's made since the market has shifted. So for those of you, I think most of you know me, Nikki Vigna with Premier Power Solutions. I am your account representative, your account consultant advisor. I took over for Matt Zanka. Matt had retired last year, but he's still my sidekick here, right? My assistant, right? Are you my assistant? Right. He's a lifelong resident here. We've been working with the school district since 2005, and I'm pleased to take over his role and be your consultant and advisor on future contracts. So thank you for having us back. Just to give you a little bit of an energy update, the markets have increased significantly. So when we signed this contract last year, we're dealing with an energy crisis, as you all know, as you drive by the gas pumps, every day. What you don't know yet, because it hasn't hit your pocketbook, is electric and natural gas prices have skyrocketed. And we're feeling it in other areas, but we're going to continue to feel it for some time. We signed a contract. I put in this presentation that I gave all of you. On page 3, there's a graph. And I have some numbers over to the left that show where energy prices are per calendar year today, or yesterday's market, and where they were when we signed this contract in August 11th, 2021. If you look over there, so you signed the contract, it begins in 2022, so the $103 a megawatt hour doesn't really affect you too much, but we want to concentrate on 23, 24, and 25 and 26, because you have a 4-year contract. When we look at those values and the increase, you can see, 2022 was at $36.35 a megawatt hour. It's $77 a megawatt hour. It's just, the graph is just explains, picture's worth 1,000 words, right? I also put on here, you also have a natural gas contract, so I wanted to show you, we do have a natural gas contract that's in place until August of 2024, and natural gas prices on the next page, you can see how they have gone, from $3, $3.50 maybe, even, they were under $2 at a certain point, but even the future years, they're $2, and they were trading up to $9 until recently, when there was an explosion at an LNG plant in Texas. So that's keeping a lot of natural gas here that we would be sending overseas. So we've seen some relief in natural gas prices, but that's only to the tune of, over $6 today, not at $2 when you signed your last contract. Your contract price is $2.93, which is a bargain, and by today's prices. $6 is looking cheap to me, so we were cresting $9, $10. And I just put some futures. The next page is the futures for natural gas, just showing you, we are having a high near-term pricing that's going to go down 2023, and then the new resistance point for natural gas looks to be about $4.50. That's double of where you signed your last contract. So future contracts, our contract's ending in 2024 in August. If we were to look at pricing that future start right now, you're already looking at a double your budget for natural gas beginning in 24-25 winter. So we're still keeping an eye on that. There's no need to go rushing into that right now, but it's definitely something I'm watching because things are changing. The energy space is changing. With our current administration and energy policy, and we just have to keep an eye on it. So the good news is on the next page. I just did some averages of where energy pricing was when we signed and where it is today. And the average, multiplying it against your annual kilowatt hours or your annual megawatt hours, we're saving, if we would have waited to sign the contract today, if we would have said, hey, we want to wait, it doesn't start until December of 2022, and we sign a contract today, you would have lost $143,000. That you would have had to spend more. Your budget would have increased by that much. So I'm just pleased to, and so we're talking for the term, $500,000. So that's my good report that I have today. Good job. Thank you for listening to me, listening to us and our advice last year. I couldn't predict the war in the Ukraine and all of that, but energy markets were increasing, and you made a good choice. So, any questions?
Thanks for the update.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Dr. Solomon, I know this is on the agenda, but I just wanted to take a moment to recognize Sandy Wells' retirement from the district. She's been with the district for 24 years. She's a resident of West Mifflin. And just on behalf of the board and the administration, I want to say thank you and wish you all the best.
Yep.
Thanks, Sam.
Mrs. Wells, I do have a few things here from the district and the board. Actually forwarded, this first one is a certificate for you. The next one is a card from everybody.
Thank you very much.
We have some more flyers for you right here.
Thank you very much.
And with all those flowers, we did have the last gift here for you as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
You're welcome.
Enjoy the time.
You can throw your alarm clock away now.
Yes.
Three addendum items, Mr. Souls.
Yes, Mr. President, we have a few addendum items. Two under district operations. A, we'd like to add the approval of the ATSI plans. It's recommended the Board of Directors approve the 22-23 ATSI plan for the West Mifflin Area High School and also the West Mifflin Middle School. Also under district operations B, I know it says D on our paper, but it's actually B. It is recommended the Board of Directors approves the settlement agreement filed as 221-CV-01539-DSC as presented in the amount of $7,000. And finally, under number 11, Superintendent's Report, letter B, we have 3 facility uses for the middle school football conditioning, baseball, Beaver Valley baseball team, and also a champion parade celebration hosted by the West Mifflin Borough Recreation Department. Those are our addendums.
Thank you, Mr. Souls. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Costonet.
Second.
Second by Mr. Donahue. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
DeCenzo.
Yes.
Donahoe,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
Squires,
Yes.
Uhas,
Yes.
Kostelnik,
Yes.
and Blazevich.
Yes. 4, hearing of the citizens. Public comment. In order to speak at this time, the following must be met. Must be a West Mifflin, Whitaker, or Duquesne resident. Matter must have been discussed through the proper education channels. Please direct comments to the board president and/or superintendent. Your remarks are limited to 3 minutes per person. If you have questions about the agenda, we will cover those. We will try to cover those as we cover the agenda items as we go through the rest of the meeting. Margaret Bungard.
You can come up.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Please state your address.
3317 Cherry Street, West
Thank you.
Mifflin. I'd like to bring forth the proposed property tax increase. The property tax increase was, the last time was in 2020, when all the schools were shut down and the taxes were raised, which I did not understand. But now you propose another tax increase in an economy where most people are struggling to pay their bills, and they even put gas in their cars. I encourage the school board and the school district to please live within your means, like the rest of the residents within the school district. The residents of West Mifflin and other communities that are part of the district, we work very hard for what we have. We do the right thing by owning a home and taking care of that home. It is not fair to us taxpayers to continuously get penalized for doing the right thing. So please reconsider the tax increase that you're proposing for this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Thomas?
Hello, my name's Paul Thomas, and I live at 5125 Skylark Avenue, West Mifflin, lifetime resident. And Mr. Blazevich, school board directors. I recently had an email with Mr. Blazevich, and it was the end of last month. And I'll give a brief recap of my email, my concerns for the residents of West Mifflin. Pertains to the 1.2 mil tax increase and the school business privilege tax. Many of you know that you see it on social media consistently about either there's 50% of the businesses not paying or somebody's best guessing. That's about it as far as that goes. And it also brings in $750,000 a year. And so the point is, I don't know if it's true or false as far as the amount of businesses that are paying. So I thought it was time to look into this a little bit, and I did some research on it. And after my research, I ended up and seeing that there was a proposed increase in taxes, that I better look into this a little more. So that's when I contacted Mr. Blazevich, and he in turn passed me on my concerns onto Mr. Esper and Mr. Matta. And so this last week I just had a conversation with Mr. Esper, and I voiced my opinions and others to him and what I had seen on social media. And at this time, I don't know how well aware the residents are of this school business privilege tax or not. So I don't want to misinterpret anything that Mr. Esper might have said to me. So I'm going to ask Mr. Esper if you would mind explaining to the people what you had told me. Put you on the spot here a little bit.
Yeah, that's okay.
And I didn't want to hear it from me and get misinterpreted somehow, because I see it consistently on social media.
Mr. Thomas,
A lot of derogatory comments, and don't like to see that for West Mifflin.
yeah, I have no problem with that. It's on the agenda for tonight, so if it's okay when we get to that agenda
Sure.
item for Mr. Esper to
Absolutely.
explain it, is that okay?
Fine, thank you.
Sure.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas,
Thank you.
appreciate it. Karen Santoro?
One 131 Castle Drive, West Mifflin. I'm here to talk about the tax increase. My neighbors think that I'm on school board, which obviously I'm not, but they knocking on my door, can you help us with the taxes? I live in Royal Highlands, which people today probably don't even know where that's at, but it's across from the post office. There are senior citizens, widows, widowers, and they're like panicking. Now, they're like, we just can't afford this anymore because 2 years ago you raised them quite a bit, and now this year again. And it's like, they're just constantly, and West Mifflin has several senior citizens. And it is tough for these, and myself, I'm on a fixed income. I've worked as a paraprofessional in this district for 43 years. I know the school district, so I understand, but there has to come a time when you have to cut the costs somewhere. I mean, and then half of your staff doesn't live in West Mifflin. They move out, so they're not bringing us revenue, but they're making top dollar. Now I understand that there was a new something passed that you have a no furlough clause. Well, if you have not enough students and too many teachers, then there should be a furlough. In the real world, you get laid off if there's no work. And I think this is a little bit overboard with these taxes. Now, TJ's mills are 22 mills. West Mifflin is 25 mills. Well, if they can run a school district on 22 mills, then why can't we run one at 25? And we are the highest millage rate in Allegheny, one of the ninth highest in Allegheny County with a millage rate. And that's just ridiculous. I mean, administrators, everybody's getting raises, and the poor old people are paying. Now, when I started in 1971, which probably most of you people weren't even around, I had to live in West Mifflin. And if I didn't, I was penalized. Now, I don't know when that stopped, but we have to start getting people that are gonna be here to help us pay. Now, granted, the borough did raise the taxes, but we raised it 0.6, not 1.19, and we get police protection, fire departments, ambulance, and our public works is excellent. We get the streets paved, we get the streets salted, we get everything. And the best garbage pickup anywhere. I mean, we have a great department. And we have a park. What are you giving me to raise my taxes? There's no pool that we can use unless we pay, and that's only open during school. There's no library that we can use. So what am I getting for this tax increase? What are my neighbors getting? And I really wish you would reconsider. And
Thank you.
that's it. Thank you.
Diane Stanesek.
2803 Glenny Lane Extension. I too would like to see under 6A through whatever letters for the tax increase voted against. We need to learn to live within our means. We're dipping into the fund balance to balance the budget, because you can't send an unbalanced budget to the state. On page 2, the insurance coverage, it's my understanding the total increase is $54,453. Everybody's insurance went up, homeowners and so forth. That's why these seniors cannot afford a tax increase. On page 3, items 6 and 7, the finalization of the evaluations of Mr. Souls and Dr. Solomon. I think all evaluations for administrators who are under that act that get that nice little chunk of change raise need to be posted along with their contracts. Should be posted on the website. On number 11, authorization for administration to advertise a RFP for district solicitor. I ask that at least 5 of you people have enough sense to say yes. Under finance, those 2 tax appeals for over $3 million what are those areas? What does that cover? Ford Business Machine. We still have a year on our contract, so they want us to engage in another 5-year contract, which we have one left, and at the price of $171,492 a year, which is $6,300 increased from last year, from the previous contract. It was at $165,189.84. On page 6, under the tax collector's report, if you add all the delinquents, that comes to $412,389.90. Plus, we just got $600,000 for Emerson, which is more than enough money that we shouldn't have to raise taxes. And under the one, I'm certainly hoping that it's a typo, that the commission on $26,440.78 isn't $27,709. I hope that's a typo. If not, seriously?
Thank you, Diane. Teresa Seckley?
Teresa Seckley, 110 Main Entrance Drive. First of all, the tax increase. My old senior citizen neighbors cannot afford it. Me as a parent realize that everything's going up. I can give you an example. My groceries went up $120 for 2 weeks. But that's a lot of money. People do not have it to pay it. But in the same respect, is since we're giving out raises to administrators, I hope and pray that when our teacher's contract comes up, you guys think of them too. So I know we're gonna be with a big jump step next year with a bunch of teachers jumping up. I don't wanna get creamed next year. I don't want the senior citizens to get creamed, but if there's a way we can avoid this tax increase, some of these people aren't gonna be able to put food on their table for their kids. I mean, even though it's $20 a month, that's $20. That might be some fun activity some kid's not gonna get to do because we have to pay taxes. There's ways we can save money. We saw that last week when we found out that Kevin went on Google and found things cheaper and saved us money. You know, we gotta do our research and find better numbers. The other thing I wanna talk about is for the district solicitor. I know everybody's gonna decide to do what they wanna do, but I'm just gonna share my personal experience that a lot of board members don't know. I have a special needs daughter. Her IEP is violated all the time. I have reached out to Krisha personally before getting an attorney and suing this district. Krisha has solved my problems. She's very educated with special education. She knows the laws. She knows how to talk to parents to save this district money. Because I can tell you at least 3 times last year, I had evidence, I had proof, and I could have come after this district. But she stopped me. And if you get somebody else in here, I don't know if they're gonna be as educated and, you know, gonna be able to calm me down to make me not want to. I just hope that the decision is made that you guys either keep, you know, Krisha and Mr. Matta, because Mr. Matta had the bus company on the phone the one day for me when the bus dropped my kid off on 885. I called Gary, I'm like, Gary, I'm ready to sue. I'm done. I can't leave my kid off on the frickin' highway and think that it's okay. Not once, not twice, but 3 times they did it. So, like I said, please don't do this tax increase. These old people can't handle it. You know, they're worried about paying for their medications. Everything's going up. All of you guys have families. The one senior citizen called and told me she spends $600 a month for her prescriptions. And they're going up. So, don't increase the taxes. Quit giving people raises, except for our teachers who definitely deserve one.
Thank you. Five information items, there are none. 6, general fund budget.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under 6, general fund budget, we have items A through I. Everything was discussed last week. The final budget amount was $61,105.57.
61 million?
61 million, I'm sorry. It's been a long day. $61,105,057. Nothing else has changed from last week. I will, if you'd like me to, just address the business privilege tax since it's in here. There's actually 2 taxes that businesses pay in West Mifflin to the school district. It's the business privilege tax and the mercantile tax. You pay either or. Some pay both, but not on the same income. Both taxes are self-reporting taxes, which means that we can't make you pay. So there are businesses that don't pay. I refute that it's 50% of the businesses. I personally been given 5 or 6 businesses that names, and I've looked into it, and they're all either paying on a payment plan or in some form of litigation. It's just like an earned income tax. You get the form. If you don't pay, you eventually get caught. And legal tax services taking a number of businesses that don't pay. I'm sure there's more that haven't paid, but they're working diligently. There's nobody who's being let go. There's nobody who's, hey, we know them. We're not going to go after them. It's a long process. It does bring in a lot of money in delinquents, but what I've seen over the last number of years is the current business privilege and mercantile tax has increased, and the delinquents has decreased as they find more people who are either unaware or not paying, and they go through the process. Do you have anything to add, Gary?
I don't. I mean, our office really does not handle the business privilege tax issue. That's handled by the delinquent tax collector. We did, though, get involved earlier this year. That attorney for that group came in and spoke with the school board. I believe the school board was comfortable with the process that was being used to collect those taxes. So I think if there's any real questions of the board or even the public at some point, if appropriate, they could come here to speak publicly, but they handle all of that collection.
I'd like to make a comment towards what he just told me, because there was 2 things he just left out that I'd like to reiterate.
Well, public comment is over. Apologize for that.
Well, that's why I let him speak. So, just about the $515,000, LTS had actually hired somebody to take care of this. Those 2 comments you made to me.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He told me that the business privilege tax came in right now at $515,000. Okay, the first 6 months.
Okay?
Okay, and it's usually $750,000 for the year. Okay, so it's increasing. All I'm saying is it's increasing. So
Okay.
You're getting more revenue. Okay, and the other thing was that LPA just hired somebody to actually do this and go after it.
Well, no, they hired another employee.
Yeah.
I thought it would.
Yeah. So, but that's
They're
their.
the delinquent tax collector.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Joe, is that your mic?
I'll shut it off. Off my mic.
It's better now.
It's not.
You think it's?
It's better now.
It's not better now.
I don't know what it is.
I think they might be all turned up.
I turned them back down to
Oh,
what they
did you?
were, so I apologize.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Donahue. Is there a second? For the number 6, general fund budget agenda item, there's a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All of them, though?
Yeah.
It's for all of
To
them.
open a vote.
This isn't a vote. This is just a motion.
Yeah. To open a vote.
Correct.
Second.
Second by Mr. Squires. Questions or comments?
I have a few comments.
Thank you, Tony.
As I stated in our previous discussions concerning this budget, I just cannot support a tax increase and therefore the budget as well that simply just burdens our taxpayers without us showing any concession whatsoever. We it's not a criticism of Mr. Esper or administration or even Mr. Dunn, who I know spent a lot of time on this, but, I believe a majority of this board acted irresponsibly by voting against the opportunity for a potential furlough months ago. And not saying that I'm advocating for that, but we as a board cannot show the taxpayers present any other option other than a tax increase. So therefore, in this situation, I believe the burden should be shared. And right now, we're leaving the taxpayers solely to hold the bag. And we could have, this is my 7th budget that I've worked on as a member of this board, and at all 6 previous years, we've allowed the administration to have that option to furlough. It's a formality. They sent letters because it's a contractual obligation to send the union teachers letters. We've always passed that line item. And now we're sitting here and we're forced to vote on a budget with a tax increase because we have no other option. And I don't think that was responsible of the board sitting here to the taxpayers of this community. So I will be voting no to those 2 motions.
The administrators didn't give their raises back.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, Mr. Blazich, I have a statement I wanted to make and hopefully address a couple issues that were brought up. First, I'd like to thank Mr. Esper for all the hard work and late nights that he offered preparing this budget. And as we vote whether or not to raise the millage rate, is it important to note that an increase in the reimbursement in the Homestead Act will most likely minimize any impact on many homeowners that are on a fixed budget. Certainly not all, but many. The increase, as outlined by Mr. Esper, will mean that any homeowner with an assessment of $50,000 to $60,000 on their home should see no increase in their taxes. Those with an assessment of $50,000 to $60,000 and above will have their tax bills offset by this amount. So someone with a $110,000 assessed home would probably see an approximate $5 per month increase, not 20. I'd also like to say that no school board director ever wants to raise taxes. We realize that everybody's personal budgets are tight. We don't want to add to that strain. However, it is the responsibility of the board to fund the budget to maintain quality education standards and all of the auxiliary benefits such as athletics, music, and others in our West Mifflin School District, thereby providing the best education that we can for our students. I am fully aware that not everyone sees issues and spending the same way. I understand that. As a result, getting 9 members to agree on something as big as a $60 million budget is extremely difficult. However, over the past several years, before I got elected to the board, with the help of the administration and the previous boards and building sales, among other things, they worked to strengthen our fund balance from just $1.5 million approximately, which is just 2% of the budget, to just over recently $4 million. Now that $4 million is just about 6% of the budget, which is at the lower end of the recommended minimum from school districts, which they usually recommend anywhere from 6 to 10%. So we are barely at the bottom end of that, and dipping into the fund balance further will only take us further into danger. Balancing the budget using the minimal fund balance can only exacerbate this problem going forward and create future problems for the district. It should be noted that West Mifflin has been called out in the past by auditors for balancing the budget using a fund balance. On a final note, I've heard from a few citizens, including some this evening, in fairness, that West Mifflin has the highest taxes around. And this is not true. While we all might wish that our millage rate was lower, we are in the lower half of all the districts in our general area in the southern half of the Allegheny County. This can be verified by anyone who wants to check by Googling millage rates Allegheny County, then selecting the second item there, which says school district tax millage 2021 Allegheny County. That will give you an opportunity to check the millage rates for each district in Allegheny County for 2021. It also gives you the opportunity to check every previous year all the way back to 2000. I mentioned this not to justify the millage rate increase, because that does not justify the increase, but just to provide correct information to our citizens. Two other items. I know that I am quite aware that Jefferson Hills is at 22 mills and we are at approximately 26 mills. But please note that they get $1.5 million for each mill that they get, and we get one. So our 26 mills is approximately $26 million for their budget. Their 22 mills is approximately $33 million for their budget. So there is a big difference there. And finally, the one other statement that was made is that the borough increased by 0.6 mils while we're going 1.2, yet our budget is approximately 3 times the size of the borough. So if you take proportions into account, that makes a little bit of a difference. Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
Before I do this, can I just ask that if you're going to vote no, list the items, vote no, and then say yes to everything else, just so I can keep track of it.
Sure. Roll call, Mr. Esper.
Ahern.
Because of the amount that will be offset by the Homestead Act, I vote yes.
DeCenzo.
No to 6A and 6B, yes to everything else.
Donahoe.
Yes.
Engler.
No to A, B, and C. Yes to everything else.
Mattis.
No to A and B, yes to everything else.
Squires.
Because of the help from the Homestead Act, I vote yes to all.
Uhas.
I vote yes.
Kostelnik.
No.
No to what? All of them?
I'm sorry, no to A, B, and C. Yes to the rest.
And Blazevich.
Yes.
Mr. President, A and B passed on a 5-4 vote. C passed on a 7-2 vote. And D through I passed on a 9-0 vote.
7, Board Secretary, Business Managers Report.
Thank you. Everything, items 1 through 12 were discussed last week. I did get the number for the insurance. I have no idea what's causing that. And that was $448,241 for item number 3. And we did discuss giving approval for the shipping container for youth football at the middle school field. So that's number 13, which was added.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Donahue. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Engler. Questions or comments?
Yeah, I just have one comment. It pertains to number 11. I've also expressed my concern for just singling out our district solicitor when, if we just passed the budget with a tax increase. I think this is a appropriate time to take a look at everything, every professional service that we employ. And, I believe there's increases in our insurance costs. I mean, there's reason to look at not only our solicitor, if that in fact passes, then let's open it up and take a look at everything across the board and be completely transparent. So that's all I have to say about that.
I have,
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Mr. Uhas?
Mr. DeCenzo, I just want to let you know that number 11, same thing. I just think it's more of a political than it is justifiable. I think the people might have their cake and eat it too, as I said, if we're going to open them up and we talk about raising taxes and everything else, we should look at everything. And that goes to all of our professional services and contracts. And I think that's one area that we probably don't do enough of, because I think of sometimes the relations or politics.
Yeah, and to echo what you said, I'm struggling. I've had individual conversations with a lot of the people that are going to support number 11. I've yet to hear but maybe one really solid reason.
They were over budget. It's a solid reason.
They were
They-
over
so-
budget at the beginning.
So other than this being a political thing, I really don't understand why we're looking elsewhere.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call?
Seems like when I sit down, it is. Ahern,
No to number 11, yes to everything else.
DeCenzo,
No to 11, yes to everything else.
Donahoe,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Mattis,
No to 11, yes to everything else.
Squires,
Yes.
Uhas,
No to 3, 4, and 5, and 11, and yes to everything else.
Does that have a laptop on?
Kostelnik,
Yes.
and Blazevich.
Yes.
All right, Mr. President, number 11 passed on a 5-4 vote. Items 3, 4, and 5 passed on an 8-1 vote, and everything else passed on a 9-0 vote. Is that right? Yep. B Finance. We got B Finance items 1 through 5 on page 3. 1, 2, and 3 were discussed last week. In 4 and 5 were real estate appeals that were discussed in executive session.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Donahue,
Second.
second by Mr. Squires. Questions or comments?
Did you want to address this? Because study 6 comments about 4 and 5.
4 and 5.
These were settlement agreements with.
I think her question was where they were, or where the properties were.
What are the properties?
I think
I don't.
If we look at the lot and block numbers.
Oh, no, I just want to make sure we're okay.
Putting the lot and block
The
numbers
lot
in
and
there, so
block
it's not-
numbers
Yeah,
are
it's
there.
limited
Oh,
church
okay, yeah.
property.
So I have to look on the website? Can't you tell me who these belong to?
I don't have that information here because we normally just list the website. If you're so interested in that, there's ability to go to look
Are
at it.
you serious?
We don't have the information.
Mrs.
this
Sinatra, it's
evening.
not right
You've
here.
done it before.
I don't have the lot and block numbers. If you would like to know those, we'll look them up. We can hold the meeting up.
It's not in front of us, so we don't want to give you the incorrect
No one's trying to
information.
hide anything. The lot and block numbers are listed there.
We're not trying, we don't want to give you
Can she
incorrect.
contact Joe?
We can contact Chris is looking them up
Chris
right
is-
now.
yeah.
She's looking them up.
Yes, she
I'm not
is.
trying to hide anything. I'm
It's
just saying I don't have.
in- inconsequential.
You have the information in front of you.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Roll call?
Ahern,
Yes.
DeCenzo,
Yes.
Donahoe,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
Squires,
Yes.
Uhas,
Yes.
Stelnick,
Yes.
and Blazevich.
Yes.
7C, purchasing and contracting. Items 1 through 8 were discussed last week. Items 9 through 18, I'll just go over them. I can't remember which one was discussed in committees. ML schedules is item number 9. That's going to take place of Dude Solutions, which is our event scheduling software, and that's roughly a savings of about $5,500, I believe. Item number 10 we discussed last week is a contract for 5 years with Ford Business Machines for new copiers. Number 11 was discussed. I can't remember if we talked about that one. Incident IQ. This is forms management, IT help desk, and to keep inventory of the technology within the district. That's going to replace Issue Track, and it has much more functionality. Item number 12, this is Savas Learning Company. This is technology integration. We did purchase the program, which was the reading series. This will do some additional integration, which was not part of the package. That is for 6 years. Item 13 is a quote from Borderland for Linewise School Manager. And that is a security system for the laptops for the kids. Number 14, the Power School. This is a renewal we do every year. 14 is for Schoology, and that's $16,238 for next year. Number 15 is another Power School license for the SIS Enterprise Management Service. That's a price of $68.55.48. Number 16 is another Power School quote. This is Enrollment Express e-collect forms and SIS data management, and this is part of the thing we use that to collect the data for the state. And that is the program that we do. We're doing online enrollment for new students. Number 17 and 18 relate to our telephone system. One is a hardware software support, and one is a labor contract if something were to break. Number 18.
Thank you, Mr. Esper. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Donahue,
Second.
second by Mr. DeCenzo. Questions or comments?
I had a question on number 11. I haven't had the chance to talk to Mr. Souls about this, sorry. But I think we talked about how there's two different issue tracks that we purchase. And I think that we were looking to see if Incident IQ could potentially replace both of them. Yeah, does it replace both or just the one?
Well,
At this time, it's only going to replace the one, and then we can migrate.
We can
over.
see, okay, about getting that
Yes.
done in the future. Awesome.
Correct. We sat through a demo with Mr. Getz the other day to get that information.
Great. Yeah, I checked out their website. It looks like a nice product.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question about number 10. This is for you, Mr. Souls. The copiers for business machines. Can you explain that a little bit? And one of my questions is this something that if we needed to, because my mindset is we have everybody has laptops. I don't understand necessarily why we would need to print so much, frankly. As time goes on and we realize we don't need to print as much, are we able to take copiers out of this and reduce our costs?
Yes, we're able to look at this every year, and with the new purchase, we'll go from Conic Minolta to Canon machines, and we're going up to upgrade the speed, and also the toner is made within the United States, which we had a toner problem over the last year, and any teacher could tell you we had a problem getting toner for our computer, or for our printers, and the upgraded speed. We actually reduced the number of machines and upgraded the quality of speed that our teachers and whoever needs to copy will have that capability. With this comes software. It's Final Cut Pro. A teacher can print, or anybody in the district can print from any copier in the district by swiping their ID badge, which helps with the confidentiality problems of just sending something to the copier and sitting and waiting, as well as the also gives us the ability to monitor how much copies are being made and what machines are producing the most copies.
And I looked through the contract, and this is 29 copiers total. So I just added them up, and I just didn't know if anybody knew that.
Yes.
You know, there was one thing I'd like to add to this. I think it needs noted. On number 16, you see that the third thing in that list that's purchased is the SIS state data validation. Joanne DeClaire has found somewhere each year between $50,000 and $100,000 that we're spending different places for students that aren't currently residing in West Mifflin, which they were, but then they moved because they were going to charter school. That was just the first year, and I think this is the third year. So I just want to say, of all the things that we're purchasing here, that is the one that's bringing us back money, and it's worth its weight in gold. So I just wanted to point that out to everybody.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern.
Yes.
DeCenzo.
Yes.
Donahoe.
Yes.
Engler.
Yes to all but number 10.
Mattis.
Yes.
Squires.
Yes.
Yes.
Kostelnik.
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes.
Mr. President, number 10 passed on an 8-1 vote. Everything else passed on a 9-0 vote.
Thank you. 8 financial reports.
Everything was discussed last week at the executive session, at the work session. That $27,000 is a total, that includes a delinquent, real estate tax, which was $370,000. So it's not 27 commissions on 26,000.
That's for the whole year then?
Yeah, well, that's for the whole, all of them together.
Okay.
Because they don't break it down, so we gotta put it somewhere.
Oh, I see.
So the 27 is correct, but it's not for this period, it's for the whole year.
No, the 27 is for this period, but it also includes the 370,000 as commission on the delinquent, which is a bigger number.
Gotcha. And do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Donahue,
Second.
second by Mrs. Ahern. Questions or comments? Roll call?
Ahern,
Yes.
DeCenzo.
Yes.
Donahoe,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
Squires,
Yes.
Uhas,
Yes.
Castelnick,
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes.
9 invoice bills payable. I believe there was only number 1 on there last week. Legal, we received another bill from Legal Tax Service and our monthly retainer from our solicitor.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Castelnick.
Second.
Second by Mr. Donahue. Questions or comments? Roll call?
Ahern,
Yes.
DeCenzo.
Yes.
Donahoe,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
Squires,
Yes.
Uhas,
Yes.
Castelnick,
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes.
That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Esper. 10, District Operations, Mr.
Yes.
Souls.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have 2 addendum items. We have item A, the ATSI plans for the middle school and high school, and also B, the approved settlement agreement in the amount of $7,000.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Donahue.
Second.
Second by Mr. Squires. Questions or comments? Roll call?
Ahern,
Yes.
DeCenzo.
Yes.
Donahoe,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
Squires,
Yes.
Uhas,
Yes.
Castelnick,
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes. 11, Superintendent's Reports.
Yes, Mr. President, under Superintendent's Report A, we have the homeschool visitors for May and June, per the report. Under B, we have buildings and grounds and facility use as presented, as well as the buildings and grounds addendum for the 3 that we read at the beginning of the meeting. Under C, we have our professional conferences as presented as well.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Mattis.
Second.
Second by Mr. Squires. Questions or comments?
I'm just building the ground, I have a comment.
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Wells, question for you. I was up at the stadium today, never cleaned the track,
Yes.
and I know that was pretty much underneath warranty. Is that underneath warranty right now?
Yes.
Is that, the reason I asked is I was up there today and I talked to the gentleman up there working on it, manager, and he said this, I asked him why this happened, and he said because of the blue, the color, and he said the dirt, he said they're gonna spray wash it. He said that basically if you want to keep that color nice and bright, he said at least every 2 years, if not every year, come up and do that. Would that be something to cover underneath it, or if there's a cost, it's something we should look at, because he said he wanted to look like this and maintain nice.
Yeah, I talked to him too, and probably after, because.
Turn that off.
Yeah, it's making us crazy.
Yeah, hit the red button. I don't know what
It's
that
gonna stop recording now.
Oh, you know what? You gotta leave it on, man.
Turn your microphones on.
Turn the mics
Well,
off.
then it's not gonna record if you're not talking in the mics.
Just turn it on whenever you talk.
That can't be.
Yeah.
You have to turn it on when you talk.
Okay.
Does anybody have a laptop near it?
Yeah.
Or a cell phone?
Just turn it on whenever you talk.
Not Judy. Your cell phone.
It's somebody's.
Something.
Yeah.
No, I put mine back on.
Just turn it on when you talk.
Yeah.
Whatever, it stopped.
Yeah, turn your mics back on. I think it might have been a cell phone too.
Mine was, been off.
So, yeah, they are cleaning the track, and I probably spoke to him after you did. I was up there first thing this morning, and then I was up there later this afternoon, and they are, I can tell you it looked a lot better this afternoon than it did this morning. So they've been working at it for 5 days, and I asked him about the process, and the process is, basically they're using a pad on a scrubber to scrub it, pressure wash it, and then suction it. and I asked him, could we pressure wash it? And he said, the only thing with us, if we pressure wash it, it would have lines on it. But, I have pictures if anybody wants to see them after the meeting, but, it's definitely a difference. And I said to him the same thing. I mean, it's taking him 5 to 6 days to clean it.
Yeah.
And he said the same thing to me. It would be something that every 2 years would probably be done. So the warranty was 5 years.
Okay.
So we're within the warranty period that they are doing it for free.
So we can probably get one more out of it.
If they would be willing to come back and do it if it does that again, yes.
Yeah, I just wonder if we did, if we found out there was a cost to doing that.
I asked him, I said, obviously, you're getting paid to do this, but we're not paying you. I said, do you know what it cost? And he told me,
Yeah, he did.
So we can check into that with the
company?
The company,
Yeah. I think it's worth looking into.
Yeah.
But we put an investment in it.
Yeah, and I told him, I said, you know, we had a blue track prior to this, and it didn't do that. I mean, it didn't really look like that until we were ready to replace it.
Right.
Mhm.
So he just said with the blue tracks, that's something, I mean, when I first went up there, I thought that they were actually spraying blue on it,
Yeah.
because it looked so much different, so,
Yeah.
but that's what.
I was just curious, because we had a conversation this morning, and I said, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
DeCenzo,
Yes to everything except C, I'll abstain.
Donahoe,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
Squires,
Yes.
Uhas,
Yes.
Astounding,
Yes.
and Blazevich.
Yes.
Mr. President, 11C passed on an 8-1 vote, everything else passed on a 9-0 vote.
8-0 vote.
I'm sorry, 8-0 vote, yeah. Everything.
12, professional personnel, Mr. Solz.
Yes, Mr. President, we have, under A, retirements, we have one professional who moved their retirement date up a year under the Early Retirement Incentive Program. And under B, hires and transfers, we talked about those during the work session and as presented.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Castelnick,
Second.
second by Mrs. Ahern. Questions or comments? I have a question, Mr. Solz. When you say that employee, they were already in the early retirement incentive program, they're just moving their year up.
That is correct.
This is not an additional.
This is not an additional.
They were already granted that, they're just doing it a year early.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Roll call?
Ahern,
Yes.
DeCenzo,
Yes.
Donahoe,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
Squires,
Yes.
Uhas,
Yes.
Astounding,
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes. 13, non-certified personnel.
Yes, we have items A through C. Leave of absence, we have 2 employees requesting leave of absence. We have 2 resignations, one from the ESY program. I'm sorry, both employees from the ESY program. And under C, hires and transfers, we also have 2 paraeducators getting involved with the summer program.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Uhas,
Second.
second by Mr. Donahue. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
DeCenzo,
Yes.
Donahoe,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
Squires,
Yes.
Uhas,
Yes.
Astounding,
Yes.
and Blazevich.
Yes. 14, athletic personnel.
Yes, Mr. President, we have items A through C. Under A, we have resignation and terminations. We have 4 coaches under the resignation. We have B, hires. We have 4 coaches listed under there. And under other, we have a coach being, as a volunteer soccer coach effective Friday, June 24th, as presented.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Mattis,
Second.
second by Mr. DeCenzo. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
DeCenzo,
Yes.
Donahoe,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
Squires,
Yes.
Uhas,
Yes.
Astounding,
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Solz. 15, board president's correspondence. I corresponded with Mr. Thomas and put him in contact with Mr. Esper, like you said, and Mr. Matta, and that was all of my correspondence. 16, executive session discussion, personnel and legal matters were discussed. 17, board reports. Most of the committee reports were given last week.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to mention about the, we mentioned last week, the Hall of Fame committee met, and we picked the next year's class of inductees. The Hall of Fame inductees will be recognized on Friday, September 9th at our home football game prior to the start of the game. The class for next year is as follows: Samantha Droznick, class of 1998, softball; Chris Hester, class of 2011, basketball; Jessica Pitts, class of 2011, basketball and track and field; Steve Krasnowski as a contributor; and Larry Washington, class of 1987, basketball. And I'm sorry, one more. And the team was the 1971 North baseball team. So those individuals will be recognized Friday, September 9th at our home football game. And as always, we will have a banquet for those inductees the following day, Saturday, 6:30 at Westwood. So anybody who's, wanting to attend, I'm sure you could participate in that. So. And then also, earlier on the agenda, the borough filed for a permit through the borough recreation. They're going to honor the high school baseball team as we did last week with a parade. The parade is in progress, getting planned. The tentative plans is going to start on Municipal Road and come up Homeville Road into our lower school entrance and up into the baseball stadium, where there will be a lot of events there to recognize the team, food trucks. It's going to be more, we're recognizing the team, but it's also going to be a community event as well. So we hope that everyone comes out and shows continued support for their accomplishment. And anybody that's wanting to participate as a board member, administrator in the parade, just let me know and we can make that happen.
And that was the 9th?
That's July 9th, 10 a.m. Yeah, the parade begins and the event goes till 2 p.m. at the high school baseball and softball complex.
Any other committee reports that weren't given last week?
I had a question I wanted to ask Sandy in regards to the buildings and grounds report from last week. Do you know if Mr. Zidek or yourself received a call back about the high school roof or the glycol issues in the buildings?
The high school roof?
Yes.
I'm not sure what he reported last week.
I would have come back to him.
When they
Yeah.
drained they did come and fix the chiller. It's fixed.
Okay.
Okay, and then recently they did a warranty item on it too, so that was free, but the high school chiller is fixed.
Okay.
Oh, you're talking about, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the roof.
Yes.
Mark's not in this week. I have not received a call from
Okay.
ABM.
I will check with him. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Costello, Kidney Steel Center News?
I gave my report last week, but I just want to thank West Mifflin School District for being one of the school districts, along with the other 10 school districts, to approve the Steel Center renovations. Thank you.
Thank you. 18, Solicitors Report?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd just like to go back to the one item with the tax assessments. The reason that we do not really know the name of the property owner and put it on the agenda is this board in my office has set a process up that we don't worry about who the owner of a property is. We evaluate that property if it is needed to be reassessed or not because of an owner or some political vendetta. So when we place those on the agenda, we place the property on there, not the individual. If anybody had a question from the board in the past, we know who the property owners are and we have them. That information I just didn't carry with me today because it's normally not important who the owner is. Again, it's more important about the property and that it's assessed properly within the school district. Thank you.
Old business? New business? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by
Second.
Mrs. Stelnick, second by Mrs. Ahern. Meeting adjourned.